Honorable guests, colleagues, faculty and students from various centers, participants from the industry, good morning all. I cordially welcome all of you to the inaugural session of the nationwide roadshow on Digital India RISC-V VEGA Processors, organized by C-DAC in association with IEEE India Council. This groundbreaking event marks a pioneering initiative simultaneously taking place at 15 institutions across India with around 1,500 participants. These institutions are Alliance University Bangalore, Amrita University Bangalore, BITS Hyderabad, Chandigarh University Mohali, QSAD Cochin, Guru Tej Bahadur Institute of Technology Delhi, IIIT Bhopal, KIET Group of Institutions Ghaziabad, KL University Guntur, Modi University of Science and Technology Sikar, Netaji Subhash Engineering College Kolkata, PSG College of Technology Coimbatore, Thakur College of Engineering and Technology Mumbai, Vardhaman College of Engineering Hyderabad, and VIT Chennai. This event will provide valuable insights into the indigenous VEGA series of processors and the ecosystem developed under the Digital India RISC-V program. The event will focus on both theoretical aspects and hands-on sessions, covering topics such as ARIES development boards, SDK, and the practicalities of building applications. We are very fortunate that we have a galaxy of leaders from the semiconductor industry joining us today. Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronics and Information Technology, Government of India. Sri Magesh Ethirajan, Director General C-DAC. Ms. Sunita Verma, Scientist G and Group Coordinator, MeitY, Government of India. Professor V. Kamagodi, Director, IIT Madras and Chief Architect, DIR-V Program. Dr. Debabrata Das, Director, IIIT Bangalore and Chair, IEEE India Council. Dr. John Jose, Professor, IIT Guwahati and Vice Chair, IEEE India Council. Mr. Alexander Redkin, Director, Syntacor, and Mr. S. Krishnakumar Rao, Senior Director, C-DAC and Program Manager, DIR-V Program. We shall also be having technical presentations by Ms. Calista Redmond, the CEO of the RISC-V Foundation, Professor Kriste Asanovic, Chief Architect, Sci-Fi, and Sri Balaji Bhakta, Founder and CEO, Ventana Microsystems. Sri Magesh Ethirajan is the Director General of C-DAC. With a master's in communication and over 30 years of experience, he has delved into electronics, chip design, VLSI hardware and IP, overseeing the complete product cycle. His responsibilities have ranged from SoC integration, front-end to back-end processes, tape-out, and silicon validation. He has effectively managed various ASIC tape-outs, collaborating across functional groups to deliver tested products. I have great pleasure in inviting Sri Magesh E., Director General C-DAC, to deliver the welcome speech.
Thank you. A very good morning to all of you. Honorable Minister of State, Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji, respected Group Coordinators, Srimati Sunita Verma, respected Director IIT Madras and Chief Architect DIR-V Program, Professor Kamakoti, respected Director IIIT Bangalore and Chair IEEE India Council, Professor Debabrata Das, distinguished speakers, Ms. Calista Redmond, Professor Kristi Anasovic, and Mr. Alexander Redbring and Balaji Bhakta, faculty, students from various centers, participants from academia and industry. The Digital India RISC-V microprocessor program, which is called the DIR-V, was launched by MeitY for a concerted effort to develop microprocessors based on the RISC-V architecture within the context of India's goal of achieving self-reliance and contributing to the global market. This aligns with the Honorable Prime Minister's vision of Atmanirbhar Bharat, which focuses on reducing dependency on imports and enhancing domestic capabilities. DIR-V has enabled partnership between startups, academia, and industry to make India a RISC-V talent hub and also build RISC-V systems on chips for the world. As part of the Digital India RISC-V, C-DAC and IIT Madras have developed the VEGA and the RISC-V series of processors comprising of embedded processors to that of the high performance processors, ranging from a 32-bit single core to a 64-bit multi-core processors and SoCs based on RISC-V instruction set architecture. Together with the IEEE India Council, we are organizing this nationwide roadshow on the Digital India RISC-V VEGA processors today and tomorrow. This is the first of its kind event which is conducted concurrently at 15 institutions across the country. The event will provide an insight into the indigenous processors and ecosystem, focusing on both the theoretical aspects and a workshop with hands-on sessions on indigenous ARIES platform. C-DAC, with the support and guidance of MeitY, is committed to proliferating the technology of the indigenous DIR-V processors, collaborating with the industry and academia. We see this as being an excellent opportunity for anyone interested in getting initiated with DIR-V processor and this ecosystem. Now, let me discharge the duty of formally welcoming one and all to this event. It's a great pleasure for me to extend a formal welcome to the dignitaries who are present online and offline in the audience. Our Honorable Minister of State, Sri Rajesh Chandrasekhar has been the brainchild behind the initiatives for the push of semiconductor in India, including this program, the DIR-V program, in line with the Prime Minister's vision. He was generous enough to send us a message for this event in spite of his busy schedule. We express our sincere gratitude to our Honorable Minister of State. Ms. Sunita Verma, Group Coordinator, MeitY, has always been a pillar of support and encouragement in all our endeavors. I extend a hearty welcome to you, Madam, to this function. We are honored to have with us Professor V. Kamakoti, Director IIT Madras and the Chief Architect of DIR-V program. His research interest in software for VLSI, reconfigurable systems, design, and computer architecture led to the creation of the indigenous RISC-V processor called Shakti series of processors. We extend to you, sir, a very hearty welcome, and we are eager to listen to your illuminating address from you, sir. We are pleased to have with us Dr. Debaratha Das, Director IIIT Bangalore and Chair IEEE India Council. He is the Project Officer of the National Mission of Interdisciplinary Cyber Physical System. He oversees projects related to advanced communication system. A hearty welcome to you, sir. We cordially invite you to this event. We are happy to have with us Dr. John Jose, Professor IIT Guwahati and Vice Chair IEEE India Council. He specializes in networks on chip, cache management, and non-volatile memories, hardware security, and the domain-specific hardware acceleration. We are honored to have you with us today and welcome you to this event. We are glad to have with us Dr. Alexander Etkin, Director Syntaco, to this event. We are extremely happy to have you with us today, sir. We are privileged to have with us a recorded technical presentation from Ms. Calista Redmond, CEO of RISC-V International, Professor Christy Asanovic, Chief Architect of Sci-Fi and the Professor at UC Berkeley, and Mr. Balaji Bhakta, Founder and CEO of Antenna Microsystem. Let me extend a hearty welcome to all of you once again to this event. We believe this will be highly beneficial to all the attendees. Wish you all the best. Thank you for a wonderful day. Back to you.
Ms. Sunita Verma, an engineer from the Institute of Engineering and Technology, Lucknow, has been a key figure at the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. As the Senior Director and Group Coordinator, she played a pivotal role in evolving the R&D base in microelectronics, nanotechnology, and medical electronics. She conceptualized government policies, developed R&D projects, and established state-of-art VLSI labs and nanofabrication facilities across the country. Her contributions extend to the implementation of special manpower development programs, the microprocessor development program, and projects for indigenous development of healthcare technologies. She has been our well-wisher and has been continuously supporting us in all our endeavors. I invite Ms. Sunita Verma, Scientist G and Group Coordinator, MeitY, Government of India, to share the experience of her journey with the DIR-V program.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone who is present here in the nationwide roadshow on Digital India RISC-V VEGA processors. At the outset, please accept my sincere gratitude for bringing together the leaders and faculty of 15 different institutions across the country to organize this roadshow, come workshop on Digital India RISC-V program, which is an important mission of the Government of India and MeitY. At this time, the world today is rapidly striding towards adopting open source systems and platforms. And RISC-V workshop comes at the apt time. And the participation from the academia is an important landmark for us. I would like to take a step back and highlight the opportunities which are created by open source software solutions, which give us freedom to customize solutions as per one's personal or general requirement, or collaborate and co-develop joint solutions without any licensing encumbrances. However, until the past decade, such system freedom was absent in the hardware world. With all the tribal knowledge and more complex processors which are owned by few leading companies in proprietary manner, only few business models did exist for the sharing of or extending the IPs, that is licensing or royalty on IPs, and either or selling a chip or a closed source solution. There was no way to modify these proprietary hardware solutions without the permission of the source designers. Since most of these inventions are protected by patents, and by the way, licensing a patent in itself is such a controlled business model that makes almost next to impossible for a new startup or a new company to enter into this market and challenge this business model. And therefore, the need was felt for a similar open standard in computer industry for a long time. And this initiative of RISC-V is which is the fundamental principle of providing the flexibility to customize not only the architecture but also own the microarchitecture and use it in the way you want. This is actually bringing I'll say taken the microprocessor industry by storm, and there are so many companies. It's not only the new startups or new companies, but it is also the leader companies which are adopting RISC-V, and it has actually opened the door for new startups to demonstrate their innovations in hardware domain. India nowhere is lagging behind, and India has now adopted RISC-V for various flagship projects, which is led from the front by the Government of India initiative of DIR-V, and also witnessing a growth of startup research and innovation systems around the RISC-V ISA. Digital India RISC-V program, or DIR-V program as we say, was announced by our Honorable Minister of State, Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, with Professor Kamakoti as Chief Architect and Shri Krishna Kumar Rao as Program Manager. And since its initiation, it has come a long way with IIT Madras and C-DAC, not only siliconizing the RISC-V DIR-V family of Shakti and VEGA processors, which consists of single core, dual core, quad core, and further going on for multi-core processors, but also they are collaborating with several startups and companies to make the RISC-V based SoCs for automotive, mobility, and computing applications. And soon we are going to see in the market the various chips and various systems based on these processors which have been developed under the DIR-V program. Today, India hosts several startups like InCore Semiconductor, which is working on configurable RISC-V processor cores, Morphing Machines, which is working on multi-core reconfigurable systems, Caligo Technologies, which is working on POSIT accelerators, and MeitY has been supporting all these startups in one way or the other. And this is just the beginning. So we are expecting more and more participation from startups, from industry and academia to develop their own SoCs and processors, IP systems based on our DIR-V processors And I encourage all of you, all the 15 institutions which are here, to take the lead and create a collaborative DIR-V community in the country, and embrace this opportunity and jumpstart your entrepreneurship journey as part of India's DIR-V initiative. So I wish you all the best for your forthcoming these 2 days workshop, and let it create an interest and start new initiatives in at least these 15 institutions to start with, and we would plan on making it more and more accessible to all the institutions. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am, for sharing your experience and supporting us always. Thank you. Ms. Callista Redmond, CEO and the CEO of the RISC-V Foundation, is a prominent tech executive known for her role in advancing the open standard instruction set architecture for computer processors. With a background that includes 12 years at IBM, Ms. Callista has been actively involved in the technology industry, contributing to the development and promotion of open source hardware. She holds an MBA from the University of Michigan's Rose School of Business and her BS from Northwestern University. We can now hear from Ms. Callista why RISC-V is inevitable.
Hi, I'm Callista Redmond, CEO of RISC-V International, and thank you so much for gathering together today in India to celebrate the momentum that we're achieving together on RISC-V and the very bright future ahead. I'm honored to share with you a few thoughts today as we get the event rolling. First, I'd like to underscore the importance that open global standards have played in technology throughout history. We can think back to USB or Ethernet and things that fundamentally leveled the playing field, allowing for the inclusion of nations, companies from around the world to engage in the important innovation, economic success of the technical revolutions. We have become more and more a globally interconnected fabric, a global community that is working together, whether those are through development partnerships, engagements across universities, and companies who look for those development partners, supply chain, as well as customers from around the world. This is our opportunity, and India is a massive part of that. RISC-V really is the fundamental base building block, the most open instruction set architecture that the world has ever seen. This is important for leveling that playing field, allowing for everyone to engage, and looking at the amazing innovations that we're seeing across all workloads, from the smallest, lightest weight to the largest, highest performance. This is our time. So let's think about it. Why is RISC-V inevitable? You know, this is something that we're hearing and seeing in headlines around the world. You think about that, what is inevitable? Well, it's already taken shape. This is no longer something that is derived in research and, you know, an interesting technical revolution. In fact, it's being brought into production, implementations, from wearables that we've been seeing for many, many years, all the way through to HPC. More than 13 billion processors and cores are already in market. And you know what? Those numbers are skyrocketing. This is something that's already growing prolifically around the world. And that's something that India is ripe to engage in. But it's not just that everyone else is doing it. It truly enables the best processors. This is important. We have things like reserved encoding space. We have a small modular instruction set that allows for that innovation and truly enables everyone to achieve the specific dimensions of performance, of power, of space consumption, and other constraints on those designs. So allowing for that transparency. allowing everyone to engage in the custom compute is such an important element. Now, finally, ecosystem. You know, hardware alone does not carry the day. We need that ecosystem. We are quickly building a very strong ecosystem of different software stakeholders, tools, libraries, and other design elements to carry all those workloads. We saw this first in embedded, and now we're seeing more prolific engagement across enterprise. The opportunity is skyrocketing. We are anticipating more than 16 billion SoCs. These aren't cores, SoCs that may contain dozens of cores by 2030. This growth rate is unsurpassed and unknown before in history. This is because of many things, increasing dependencies on custom compute to handle today's most complex and innovative workloads. This growth is being seen today across all kinds of workloads. You know, if you look at this chart brought to us by SHD Group, an analyst who has done a lot of research in this area, RISC-V is really on course to capture nearly a quarter of many major markets, from wearables and health monitoring devices and other things that consumers use every day, to notebooks and compute ranging from servers to desktops to laptops. We're already seeing these come to market, and it's an incredibly exciting time. What about handhelds? And as you look at mobile, from infrastructure to devices, we're seeing RISC-V continue to gain traction, in part due to bringing full Android support to RISC-V. This has been a fundamental breakthrough for us in 2023. Looking at AI acceleration from consumer to enterprise, really this is an area that is ripe for innovation. This is an area that we see many multinationals as well as startups investing in. And this is an area that is so hot that RISC-V has got to engage, and we are. Industrial and smart grid, there are many opportunities here, from manufacturing to utilities. And we're seeing a lot of continued investment, continued innovation, and continued implementations and adoptions. Automotive. Again, we're seeing a lot of AI acceleration as automotive moves very quickly onto RISC-V. You know, our community is growing. We've grown nearly 25% already in 2023. We're continuing that trajectory. These numbers are just through the end of October, and we've still got a couple months to go. We've surpassed 4,000 members. And I'm so proud and honored to say that we have very, even distribution of our membership in North America, Europe, and APAC, with growing interest coming from India. In fact, many of our individual members are in India, and we're working hard to kind of help bring not just individuals and students, but also, established organizations, established companies, government institutes, research, and other new startups into RISC-V. We see tremendous enthusiasm in India, and we're eager to help companies realize that business potential. So we do encourage everyone to join RISC-V International. I said earlier that ecosystem is incredibly important to us. This is our ecosystem landscape today. In fact, there's an interactive version of it that you can really dive into. What are each of these logos represent? The different workloads that they're bringing to RISC-V, tools, libraries, applications, and other implementations, including things like developer boards that are fundamental to accelerate that on-ramp onto RISC-V for the entire community. So why join RISC-V? Why is this so important? Well, as a company, I urge you, this is something that we do to support your success. We are here to support your growth and proliferation, not just in India, but to engage in that global opportunity. RISC-V International is really the center of gravity for that activity worldwide. This is a place to elevate your industry leadership, get your name out there, ensure other organizations and customers and partners know about you, learn about you, admire you. This is an area where you can cultivate your domain expertise, show your technical as well as business leadership. We expand your reach. And think about what that does for your strategic network. Engaging your engineering team to work shoulder to shoulder with the brightest minds in our industry is a way to accelerate your technical roadmap. That's a way to engage and deepen those relationships that matter the most when you're looking at development partners, go-to-market channels, and other avenues that are critical to building successful businesses. Think about this from a business return on an investment. We're here to help reduce your technical overhead by cultivating shared-based building blocks so that you can apply your resources above and beyond for differentiation. That makes you more competitive. By joining RISC-V International, you're saying, you know what, it's the collective investment of all of us that is ensuring my strategic future. This is not dependent on one proprietary interest or stakeholder, as you would find with other architectures. Really, you're driving your own destiny here. This is an important area where we help support you to ensure compatibility of your implementations to the RISC-V ISA. This is a tremendous boost for you and your business as you gain technical advantage in the market. So I urge you, join RISC-V, engage in the community, expand your network, and let us know how we can support your success at a global level. Thank you, and please reach out to me anytime.
Thank you, Ms. Redmond. Though she couldn't join us today, we are extremely grateful that she accepted our invitation and shared her thoughts. Professor V. Kamakodi serves as the director of IIT Madras with a background in computer science and engineering. His expertise includes secure system engineering, computer architecture, and CAD for VLSI design systems. Beyond academia, Professor Kamakodi is involved in initiatives like organic farming and child education, mentoring a rural school at his native village. He is a recipient of numerous awards, including the inaugural IIT Madras Young Faculty Recognition Award in 2007 and the DRDO Academic Excellence Award in 2014. I cordially welcome Professor Kamakodi for the technical talk.
Thank you very much. Friends, a very hearty welcome, and this is a very interesting and important activity. Let me just start with the background of what we call as the Microprocessor Development Program, which was initiated under the auspices of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, MeitY, around 6 years before. And I must also tell you the background so that you as youngsters from different institutions, I hear 15 different institutions have joined, and each institution has close to 100 people. So I'm very fortunate to address 1,500 people, 1,500 computer architect enthusiasts. This microprocessor is going to be one of the economy changing factor for various reasons. First and foremost, for India to have her own products tailor-made for the applications here is going to be is going to create a significant impact in the overall performance of the system and also the cost factor of this system. If you buy an off-the-shelf processor, you need to actually configure your PCB, your motherboard, and also the type of sensors that you're going to interface, and also the different environments, the battery power, the type of power management systems you have to make. Everything needs to be tailor-made around the processor that you import. Customizing, providing an environment that will help you customize the processing and create the necessary interfaces. Customization, essentially, one is I need a processor where I don't need floating point. I need a processor where I don't need certain atomic instruction. I need a processor where I don't need certain privilege levels. So every application has its own DNA, and you need to customize the processor for that. That is one part of the story. And the second part of the story is that you have several peripherals that are going to be interfaced with it. So we have a lot of peripheral interfaces like Quad SPI, DDR, etc. So you need to customize it depending on the type of peripheral that you have. And these are all very important. And by this customization, you will exactly get the compute power, the compute facility that you need, and also the form factor in terms of attaching the peripherals. You can basically even decide on where the pin needs to go so that your breadboard becomes much more compact. Your PCB becomes much more compact. So these are all some very important things that come with having our own microprocessor. So this is completely from a functionality and economics point of view. But another important thing that comes is, of course, the security. Today, the brain behind a processor is a brain behind any system is the microprocessor that sits inside it, and that is the one which is executing the programs. That is the one that is executing the software. And if at all the system needs to be hacked, the first entity that will be hacked is the microprocessor or the software that it is executing. So it is also very, very important for us that the brain is not corrupted, does not have malice, and it is known to us. There is the source code is known to us, etc. So that way, the need for India today, as she moves towards a massive digitalization, is that we need to have an ecosystem for processor development where I could make customized processor without any encumbrance, right? If you use some other instruction set architecture, then there are certain standard essential patents, which essentially means that you need to pay a royalty back, or you need to disclose what you are doing. RISC-V ticks all these boxes. It is an extensible instruction set architecture. I hope during the day you'll get more insight into the instruction set architecture. What I mean extensible is, tomorrow you are developing, say, an application where you need a specific type of instruction. Say, I need to do a specific variety of bit manipulation. You can add an instruction to this instruction set architecture in a seamless way so that it doesn't touch any of the previous encodings, right? So you can add a new instruction. And not only that, today the software ecosystem, friends, also believe that making the processor is a challenge, but trying to get a very optimized software to execute on the processor is a much more difficult challenge. Software is not just developing a C application, but it also means developing the required compilers and the required optimization, etc. Today, RISC-V also provides a very neat interface with what we call as a low-level virtual machine, where you can add a new instruction. So you make a new instruction, you make the hardware that will execute the new instruction, but you also make the compiler use that new instruction. If the compiler doesn't use that new instruction, then the software cannot access the hardware. So these type of very interesting things of extensibility and completely open, in the sense it comes under what we call as the BSD license. The BSD license essentially means that you can use it encumbrance free, and you need not even return back to the community any enhancement that you have done on it. Unlike the GNU license, where you need to get back to the thing if you actually make certain changes to it. So friends, so this is an exciting effort. And we started interacting around 2013 with MeitY and Berkeley when they proposed this instruction set architecture. We started long effort. IIT Madras and C-DAC has been the two agencies, C-DAC Trivandrum to be very specific, has been the two agencies who have been looking at it very seriously. And by 2017, we could convince the government to fund us as what we call as the microprocessor development program. The Shakti and the VEGA processor, the VEGA that we are seeing today, is an outcome of that entire effort. And I'm very happy and excited that, so in the introduction they missed, I'm the most appropriate introduction for me today is I am the chief architect of the Digital India RISC-V program. So I'm very happy and excited to see that we had a Swadeshi microprocessor challenge where we had more than thousands of teams
Thank you, sir, for sharing your ideas and visions. I'm sure your talk has inspired the young engineers who have joined us today. Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronics and Information Technology, is a distinguished professional with a BE in Electrical Engineering and an MS in Computer Science. His career spans notable roles at Intel in Silicon Valley, where he worked on the microprocessor and Pentium teams. In 1994, he founded BPL Mobiles, a pioneering venture in the Indian telecom sector, contributing significantly to its transformation. We can now listen to the inaugural address for this event, sent by Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, since he could not join us today.
Namaste, and I am very happy to be here speaking to all of you on this nationwide roadshow of the Digital India RISC-V VEGA processors, the DIR-V processors as we refer to them. And I thank and congratulate the program manager of the DIR-V program, the Digital India RISC-V program, Mr. Krishna Kumar Rao, who is a senior director at C-DAC, as well as the chief architect of India's DIR-V program, Professor Kamakoti, who is the director at IIT Chennai. This is certainly a significant milestone, and it is certainly tremendous progress that today we are able to
demonstrate to the entire country the capabilities in not just broad chip design, but in terms of high performance chip design in the RISC-V domain, which is an ISA, an open source ISA that the government of India has firmly embarked on as a strategy to create the deep capabilities and capacities, chips, devices, products and systems around DIR-V in the coming years, in the decade that our Honorable Prime Minister refers to as the India decade. Look, before I get into a discussion on DIR-V and semiconductors and electronics, I must certainly share with you, as somebody who has the privilege and honor of serving as a minister in Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji's Council of Ministers, that I see as somebody who has spent over 3 decades in technology, that this is the most exciting time for India's technology ecosystem, for any Indian, young or old, who is a participant, who is a spectator, or indeed setting out to enter the Indian technology and innovation ecosystem. The opportunities that have been created in the last several years by our Prime Minister's policies range from space to electronics to semiconductors to consumer internet to the Web3 to artificial intelligence, high performance computing, quantum computing, and the entire spectrum of opportunities that today are in front of young engineers, young students, the accelerated pace of digitalization that our economy is seeing represents an unprecedented opportunity for success, unprecedented opportunity for growth, an unprecedented opportunity to demonstrate your capabilities. Never before in the history of India, independent India's history, have young Indians been offered such a wide spectrum of opportunities to prove themselves, succeed at a global scale. Our Prime Minister Narendra Modi ji refers to the coming 10 years as the India decade, a decade of technology opportunities. And as you know, in December of 2021, our Prime Minister, with great foresight and vision, launched the India Semiconductor Mission, and with an outlay of 76,000 crores, he saw that India must become a significant player in the altering, changing, transforming global value chains for electronics and semiconductors that the world is today seeing. And that India, after almost 74 years or 73 years of missing many opportunities in electronics and semiconductors, that India of today, this new India, is really playing catch up by making giant strides and giant leaps in the area of semiconductors and electronics. There are obviously many things to talk about in terms of semiconductors. There are many things that we have achieved in the last just year and 11 months. The world's, India's first big memory memory assembly packaging unit is coming up in Gujarat. A large number of startups have been catalyzed who are designing chips and devices that will go into different products and systems. And one of the important decisions that the government of India has taken is to go all in and completely back the RISC-V architecture, the RISC-V ISA, in terms of developing chips, devices and systems and products around these devices for the Indian ecosystem. And this program called DIR-V is, as I mentioned, today being looked after by two very capable names, Dr. Kamakoti of IIT Chennai and Mr. Krishna Kumar Rao of C-DAC. And it is in this, under this program today, that this roadshow is showcasing the VEGA processor that has is one of the two families of DIR-V chips that India is building, designing, developing and taping out in the coming months and years. The VEGA is one, Shakti is the other family of DIR-V processors, and it is certainly our ambition as a country, and with hundreds and thousands of engineers amongst the audience such as you, that we will master and we will become, if not the world leader, but certainly amongst the world's leading nations in propagating, in having the capabilities and capacities to create innovation around the RISC-V ISA and around the DIR-V family of chips and systems. The program is going to be continuously fueled by the creativity and innovation of students, engineers, startups, and the government of India will continue to support, encourage, catalyze this expansion of the DIR-V ecosystem. The DIR-V ecosystem has seen many startups, the Ventana Microsystems for data centers, Esperanto introducing massively parallel multi-core architecture. We have in-core semiconductors. We have working on configurable RISC-V processor cores. Mindgrove Technologies working on fault-tolerant RISC-V SoCs. Morphing Machines working on multi-core reconfigurable systems. So therefore, the RISC-V ISA is being made to go into multiple applications, multiple devices, as we are today emerging into a semiconductor landscape where the dominance of any particular family of processors is being replaced by many different devices that are application focused, application optimized, and this allows, certainly this represents a huge opportunity for the startup and the design ecosystem in India to build the next generation of chips around the RISC-V processor and the next generation of systems built around the DIR-V devices that are designed and engineered by Indian teams and Indian companies and Indian youngsters. Our ambition as a country is certainly very wide. Our Prime Minister has laid out a program where we are looking at next gen systems in automotive, industrial, wireless and communication, compute. So there is a whole spectrum of opportunities for device designers, product designers, because the number of systems that are going to be represented by this in the coming years in terms of demand and applications are just vast and multi in many numbers. While we recognize ongoing activities in the x86 and ARM domains, our primary focus is to grow the RISC-V ecosystem, the DIR-V ecosystem, the high performance computing goals spearheaded by C-DAC, and that forms part of our one of the application areas for the future labs, will be also driven by DIR-V and RISC-V. And while RISC-V has always represented open source and certainly a collaborative framework for innovation in semiconductor design and fabless design, I think today with the growing needs for AI learning, machine learning, DIR-V will also be addressing high performance compute and high performance vector types of applications in the coming years. To the students in the many roadshows that will see, hear about the VEGA processor, the Shakti processor, will get an opportunity to interact with the people at C-DAC and with the various startups that are innovating around the RISC-V ISA. I say that spend a little bit more than just a little attention on what is happening. This is certainly an important and tectonic change in the electronics ecosystem in India, in the semiconductor ecosystem in India. What you are seeing are the basic green shoots of what promises to be over the next 4 to 5 years a very vibrant, full of innovation, cutting edge, globally competitive device design ecosystem, chip design ecosystem that is sprouting rapidly, growing rapidly, and is going to is going to require many hundreds and thousands of talented engineers from the electronics, from the electrical, from the computer science, from materials, chemistry, physics domains to participate and to be joining with this program. So I congratulate again the C-DAC team, Professor Kamkoti from IIT Chennai, and the overall DIR-V program team for doing this roadshow, bringing in front of the very important stakeholder, the students of today and the chip designers of tomorrow, this story of DIR-V, the story of VEGA, the story of the Shakti processors, this family of processors that will play a very, very important role in the development of India's electronics semiconductor ecosystem and for India's growth as a significant player in the coming decade in this whole space of electronics and cutting edge innovation in the space of chip design and high performance systems. Thank you all for your attention. I wish you success. I wish the roadshow absolute success, and I look forward to more and more of you amongst the audience, especially the students, joining this mission of making India a semiconductor nation. Thank you. Jai Hind. Namaste.
Thank you, sir. That was Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, a great visionary and a pillar of support for all our endeavors. Dr. Debabrata Das serves as the director of IIIT Bangalore. Prior to joining IIIT Bangalore in 2002, he held positions at the G.S. Sanyal School of Telecommunications at IIT Kharagpur and Kirana Networks in New Jersey, USA. As the project officer of the National Mission for Interdisciplinary Cyber-Physical Systems, he oversees projects related to advanced communication systems. Dr. Das has been the principal investigator for multiple sponsored projects from Intel, HP, Microsoft, Motorola Research, Tejas Networks, Nokia, and the Government of India, focusing on broadband wireless MAC, QoS, energy saving, and IMS. He holds a PhD from IIT Kharagpur and has authored over 200 peer-reviewed papers, received 9 Best Paper Awards, and holds several US and Indian patents. May I request Dr. Debabrata Das to offer his felicitation.
Good morning, all. My thanks to Mr. Magesh, the Director General of C-DAC, Madam Sunita Verma, the Group Coordinator from Ministry of IT, MeitY, Government of India, and the executives of the RISC-V International for working with IEEE India Council for this roadshow. My regards to Professor Kamakoti, the Chief Architect of the RISC-V indigenous processor from India, and also Mr. K.K. Rao from the C-DAC as a program manager, making this a grand success as a pride of India. Thanks to Mr. Chandrasekhar, the Minister of State on MeitY, for such a wonderful address to all of us and encouraging all of us to take it forward. From IEEE India Council, which is a conglomeration of 13 sections across the country, and it has 70,000 plus members in India, and IEEE being the largest professional body in the electronics and electrical and computer science across the globe. And I want to say that our IEEE India Council, the team led by Dr. John Jose, who is the Vice Chair of Academia and Industry Collaboration in IEEE India Council, and also a professor in IIT Guwahati, who coordinated the 16 venues selection and screening along with the C-DAC Trivandrum. Through India Council sections and subsections, we reached out to over 6,000 plus students, and close to 1,000 plus students are attending today from 15 different cities of India. Each regional venue has 2 trained C-DAC resources persons to run the 2-day workshop. First of its kind to do hardware kit-based workshop parallelly across 15 venues on Make in India products. Thanks to Mr. Livin T and a team from C-DAC Trivandrum for helping IEEE India Council to do this. I also want to thank Dr. Ruchika Gupta from IEEE Delhi section for coordination and efforts for make it a grand success. Thanks to all the section chairs and volunteers of IEEE across the country for volunteering sincerely for this roadshow. IEEE India Council and C-DAC will now certification courses periodically from these regional venues to enhance the skill personnel with experience on these VEGA processors. Thanks to Professor John Jose and Mr. Krishna Kumar Rao for inviting me in this great occasion. Wishing the team of this roadshow a grand and successful VEGA processors for the train the next generation of our nation. And have a wonderful day and a good deliberations. And Namaste, Jai Hind.
Thank you, sir. Dr. John Jose, an associate professor at IIT Guwahati, completed his PhD in computer architecture from IIT Madras. Joining IIT Guwahati in 2015, he specializes in network on chips, cache management, non-volatile memories, hardware security, and domain-specific hardware accelerators. Dr. Jose, a Qualcomm Faculty Award recipient in 2021, serves as Vice Chair of IEEE India Council. His research group, Multi-Core Architecture and Systems Lab, has contributed significantly to conferences and journals. He actively collaborates with international institutions. I invite Dr. John Jose for the felicitation speech.
Good morning, all of you. A warm welcome to all the members joining this roadshow from 15 different regional venues across the country, the senior executives from Ministry of Electronics and IT, the engineers and managers from C-DAC Trivandrum, and all other participants who are actively attending this program from the venues and those who are attending the talks in the YouTube live streaming. It is indeed a great moment of pride as an IEEE volunteer and also serving as the Vice Chair of IEEE India Council, Industry Academia Relations. A program that was planned from last April onwards is now materializing in the third week of November. On record, first I would like to congratulate various stakeholders associated with this event, especially the passionate engineers and managers from C-DAC, especially C-DAC Trivandrum, the hardware design group headed by Krishna Kumar Rao sir and his team, Sunita Verma and his team from Ministry of Electronics and IT, and hundreds of volunteers that have been coming from various sections and chapters. I would also like to give my appreciation to all the members, the IEEE volunteers from all these 15 regional venues who have been working over the last few days in making sure that the workshop experience is done in an excellent way to all the stakeholders. There are faculty members also from these 15 regional venues who have been putting effort in the last 2 months, meticulously planning in ensuring the registrations are reaching the length and breadth of the state and the sections, shortlisting students, and there are a lot of students who have traveled overnight journey also in reaching these venues. Our country wants such kind of passionate teachers who are willing to sacrifice the last 1 month of the festivities span India, and they made sure that it's going to be a wonderful experience. We are also blessed with the 30 plus C-DACs or resource persons who traveled all the way from Trivandrum, the southern tip of India, to all these various 15 regional venues 2 to 3 days before, and they were working hard in the last 2 days to make sure that the laboratory setup associated with the workshop and all the kits and sensors all are made ready such that the next 2 days will have a productive learning experience for all. I would like to thank the IEEE section chairs and the branch counselors of various IEEEs and the active student chapters also who have been putting their effort. We are now living in an extremely fortunate time period, especially for people who are working in circuit branches. Right from the ministry level, we have 2 electronics engineers who are heading the ministry with their vision. And we have passionate people like Sunita Verma and team who are working day and night in making sure that in semiconductor field and in electronics and IT field, we are a growing power. And then like what Professor Kamakodi, my mentor and guru, who already mentioned, in this era where everyone wanted to work on machine learning and AI only, we need some people who are bothered about how to build powerful systems such that your AI and ML applications can reach up to the real potential. When I was a student at IIT Madras in early 2009-2010 period, at that time itself, Kamakodi sir used to talk about there will be a time when we will run our laptops and computers with India's own microprocessor. As a student at that time, I thought it's just a comic or just an inspiring words. But later he showed by his action and his words, these ideas that has been propagated initially in the early portion of 2011 and 12, which was later materialized into the microprocessor development program with the 2 kids born out of it, the Shakti microprocessor and the VEGA microprocessor. And we are fortunate to have such academic leaders in the India who can transform what we learn in theoretical classes and laboratory classes into reality. We want teachers who can generate knowledge, who can propagate knowledge, who can practice knowledge. And in this era, we are fortunate to have many passionate engineers rather than going into the rosy job markets that is available in Western Europe and US. We have some set of passionate engineers available in C-DAC who stayed back in India, believed in the concept of India, and they joined hands with the MeitY team and with IIT Madras team so that India can boast of India's own indigenous microprocessors. A special salute to all the members in C-DAC Trivandrum who have been working day and night when the rest of the country was enjoying with festivals, enjoying with tours, picnics and all. These people really work hard. So I would like all of you to give a big round of applause to all the C-DAC resource persons who have been working hard in making, and you will also experience the same feeling in the next 2 days. And then before I conclude, what I wanted to tell to my dear participants who are attending this program, I know that still the Northern India is still not coming out of the Diwali festivities break. A lot of you were thinking that why we should attend a program in between this break, because when you conduct a program pan-India across 15 venues, at some portion of India, always there are some festivals. So it's very difficult to find out a program, but you are the one who wanted to take this message forward. And I'm sure that the next 2 days of learning would be a great learning experience for all of you. We have conducted more than 50+ workshops of VEGA processors across the country, and the experience that we got from the participants, their feedback, gave us the courage to dream about something big like this pan-India that has been happening. So I wish we will have many participants in all these 15 venues who will become future Rajiv Chandrasekhars, who will be heading the ministries. We wish to have many Sunita Vermas from these campuses who would be part of the bureaucratic schedule and then empowering the academicians and the engineers. We wish to have more Kamakodis from these campuses such that they could aspire more about thinking for India and finding India's own problem by indigenous solutions like this. And we wish to have more Krishna Kumar Rao sirs and Lipins from our campuses such that the legacy what we have built will be taken forward. Last but not the least, every of my activity at IEEE India Council is what's been possible with the tremendous support of our IEEE India Council Chair, Professor Debabrata Das. And I was also fortunate to head the Industry, Academia and Young Professional Subcommittee, which has been giving me all the support in coordination. Special thanks to my colleague, Dr. Suruchika Gupta from IEEE Delhi section and Professor Chandigarh University, who helped in coordinating this event, along with Lipin and his team members. There are many people who work, but I would like to specially point out 2-3 members' name. One is Neeta, and then one is Premjit, then Himanshu. Many people have worked in together. The list goes on. Special thanks to all of us. When we conduct such kind of VEGA processor workshops or Shakti processors workshops in the subsequent years, I'm sure that there would be a day where the laptop in which also the Zoom meeting is been scheduled will be driven by VEGA or Shakti processors. And that's why, and that is the day where we are looking forward for a dream of India realizing the self-reliant India with a lot of promises from our campuses, looking forward for a completely Atmanirbhar Bharat. We, the academic community of India, are always there with you, the student and the participants. Together, we will make sure that our country is second to none. I once again thank all the regional coordinators of these 15 venues, the higher management of these 15 venues, the faculty members who supported, the technicians, the student volunteers who all worked in the last 1 week during the festivities break in making sure that the program is done successfully. I wish all the participants a productive 2-day learning, and let us make it as a periodic event as much as possible. Tomorrow you will be the trainers. We may not have C-DAC people available always. Some of you will become the trainers, and that's the way how we spread the message. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for your highly motivational speech. We thank you for your kind words and recognizing our work. We also thank you for your continuous support. You have made our day, sir. Thank you. Next, we'll be having a technical presentation by Professor Kriste Asinovic. Professor Kriste Asinovic, Professor Emeritus at UC Berkeley, holds a PhD in computer science from UC Berkeley. He is a co-founder of the RISC-V Foundation, and he's an ACM and IEEE fellow. Professor Asinovic's research spans computer architecture, VLSI design, parallel programming, and operating systems design. Currently, he is a co-founder and chief architect at Sci-Fi. We can now listen to Professor Kriste's technical presentation.
Hi, this is Kriste Asinovic from Sci-Fi and UC Berkeley. I'm really happy to be able to record this video for the India RISC-V VEGA Processor Roadshow. I'm actually going to give a talk that was supposed to be the State of Union talk from last week at the summit, but unfortunately I got ill, so couldn't give this talk there. So I'm very happy to be able to give it at this venue. So dive in here. The state of the RISC-V Union is strong. So it seems like every year there's a new major milestone in RISC-V's evolution. So last year, we heard about Google choosing to support Android on RISC-V as a tier 1 architecture. That was really major news in the ecosystem. And this year, what we're seeing announced at the summit was several major semiconductor companies going public that they're going to be moving to RISC-V, not only for their embedded and IoT cores, but for high performance application cores. So this is really a sign of the maturity of RISC-V and how the ecosystem is developing. Now, RISC-V continues to proliferate. And, I like to talk about this as being, RISC-V is going to be in everything, everywhere, but maybe not quite all at once. It's going to take some time for some of those areas as the software ecosystems evolve and develop. RISC-V is certainly capable of doing everything, everywhere, and eventually all at once. But for now, it's still an evolution. I'll talk about how we're managing that evolution at RISC-V International. So first, let's talk about how RISC-V has come to be so popular and proliferated everywhere. And this is not completely by accident. So when we were designing RISC-V, we took a look at all the different kinds of processor out in the world, and we were interested in how to build more specialized processors. And the thing we realized that almost all processors have a very common set of base functionality. So our goal was to build a base ISA that was very general, and then add on top of that extensions that would specialize the core for different domains. So we came up with a very simple, efficient base ISA and developed a compiler around those simple base instructions. And the reality is that most of the work in developing processor compiler is all around that general base, the general base set of instructions, the general purpose set. And you don't need too many instructions in there to support a very rich software ecosystem. And so RISC-V, we spend a lot of time narrowing down that selection of what instructions should be in the base. Now, subsequently, as RISC-V became popular and used in more places, there were some more instructions that made sense to add to that general base to help it be more efficient. The cost of somewhat more complexity in that base, but some improvements in efficiency. And so the base has grown a little bit with these new general purpose extensions. But overall, the base is still very simple compared to other architectures, this general purpose base. Now, the other aspect of RISC-V was leaving room for specialized extensions. And we realized at the start of the project, this was kind of the impetus for RISC-V, the ability to add a lot of performance with more specialized instruction extensions. And we see that being realized today with pretty much any specialized AI processor out there is being based around RISC-V right now. So you see the developments from Google, from Facebook, from Tesla, from startups like Tenstorrent, Esperanto, Mythic. All these companies are using RISC-V as the basis for these much more specialized AI processors because it's simple, it's available, it's an open standard. There's a basic compiler and tool flow you can build upon when adding more specialized extensions. And so this combination of having this very general base with full compiler support has meant, on the one hand, there's really been no significant new general purpose ISAs, proprietary ISAs, since RISC-V emerged. And in fact, many of the old ones have now disappeared, and those companies are moving to RISC-V because it's a common open standard. So, companies like MIPS, who had their own very successful ISA at one point, are now building RISC-V ISA cores. We just recently heard the announcement from Synopsys ARC processors. So the ARC processor is now moving to a RISC-V ISA interface as well. So all these companies are seeing the same benefit of moving to a single standard and leveraging all the software for that general purpose base set. At the same time, we're seeing people moving RISC-V into all the other core types, not just the general purpose cores, but these other core types, including things like DSP and security and power management and all these other areas. And basically all the other processors on a chip are also moving towards RISC-V. And I like to use this phrase, all your core belong to us. So every core on a chip will ultimately end up moving to RISC-V, is what we believe. And this was part of the plan in the very beginning, to build a very general core that had the full compiler support, but leave space to add more customized extensions to target these different markets. So this has been very successful, and this has panned out the way we expected. Now, another thing that was not quite as expected was how fast the software ecosystem has grown up around RISC-V. For the last 10, 13 years as we've been building RISC-V, the whole open source software community and the commercial software community has come to support RISC-V in strength. And so there's many packages now that are available for RISC-V. And we say RISC-V is the fastest growing ecosystem. There is still a lot of work to do, which is why it's not already in everything all at once. It's going to take some more continuing time to build out some of the richer operating systems. But the big news from last year was Google Android moving over to RISC-V, and that will enable many applications that rely on that rich software ecosystem. But generally, RISC-V has been advancing at an incredible rate with software coming on board in all different domains. One of the challenges of RISC-V is just keeping track of the developments. So if we look back in 2023, this is just a set of new ISA extensions that came on board in 2023. So we had one of the biggest and most important additions was vector cryptography instructions that provide very high throughput crypto for the cores. That was one of the most sought after features, and we managed to ratify that this year. There's a lot of security features coming in for control flow integrity, shadow stack landing pads, pointer masking. Some improvements to memory synchronization instructions, new data types for floating point, a bunch of features to help operating systems manage the core. In the embedded space, we had a significant improvement in code size reductions with the ZC extensions, and also improvements to debug and performance monitoring. So there's a lot of activity happening in 2023. These are all ones we expect to either have already ratified or finish ratification in 23 or close after. But that's not all, there's more coming. So there's a whole slew of new extensions in flight. Ones to manage instruction cache coherence more efficiently, improvements to support security with memory tagging, new cryptography extensions, including post-quantum cryptography extensions, new DSP instructions, additional forms of security and support for confidential computing, RAS support for servers, QoS support for co-tenancy systems, better interrupts. So many new features. So the story really here is there's a continuing evolution of new features in RISC-V, and this can make it a challenge for those software ecosystems who want to bring along to keep up with what's happening. So as these ecosystems work with RISC-V and the RISC-V ecosystem, the way they tend to operate is they will look around and see what do we expect to be available in the hardware that we're targeting from different vendors. And remember, there's many vendors of RISC-V hardware. And each software ecosystem will then want to pick, they'll generally pick on what's the lowest common denominator that I can rely upon so that I can target that and have my software run across the most number of platforms. Now, there's a tension here in that for the software to work well, you would like to use as many of those features, new instruction set extensions as possible. On the other hand, you need the hardware vendors to have aligned and implemented those features so that the software doesn't suddenly find that one of the vendors is missing a feature the software was relying on. That'll give a poor user experience for somebody using RISC-V. And so we really need this alignment across the hardware vendors to agree on the set of features that they're all going to make available to the software ecosystem in a given generation of RISC-V implementations. So this is what we've been doing. This is very important work we've been doing at RISC-V International on profiles. And so the goal of profiles is really to align RISC-V vendors, especially in the markets where there's going to be a lot of binary distribution of software. And so here, we want to make sure that a software ecosystem can rely upon certain features being available in all the cores of a given generation for RISC-V. A large part of the profiles is saying these extensions are mandatory so that a processor that is claiming to be compliant with a certain profile must implement all those mandatory ISA features, and software can depend on those being present on any processor that claims to match that profile. Now, mandatory options get us a large part of the way there, but the reality is we have to also still allow for options in a profile. And I just want to briefly go over the different kinds of options and why they're present in the profile. You may say, well, why not just have everything just be mandatory and not there at all? Well, there's some good reasons to have options. One of them is localized options. So some features should only be made available in certain jurisdictions or only required in certain jurisdictions. And the classic example here is cryptography extensions. So different geopolitical regions have different cryptography standards. And so these are localized options. And so these will almost always remain as options because they need to be, right? So this is an example of why we need an option for some structural reason outside the control of RISC-V. Another reason to have an option is it's difficult to have all the vendors strictly aligned in time in implementing a new feature, especially if that feature is somewhat complicated. And so another kind of option we have is a development option. And this is an option that represents a new extension that's in the early part of its life cycle. So a new instruction set extension, for example, may come in as an option, to give the community time to develop the hardware and software support for that option, with the intention that this will later become a mandatory part of the profile. So one example we had of that recently was the vector extension, which is very powerful, but also quite complicated. And so in last year's profile, RVA 22, we had that as an option, but in RVA 23, we're now proposing to make that mandatory. So that's an example of an option that was a development option in the previous profile. Now, it's not always the case that options will end up becoming mandatory. There are some options that we're calling expansion options. And these are options in the sense of not all processors in this category really need this machinery. This machinery may be quite expensive. An example might be a large matrix engine to handle matrix computations. This may be represent a significant implementation overhead, and so we may not want to require it's mandatory in every single processor meeting the profile. But also an important aspect is it must be an expansion that can be handled via runtime discovery. So if we're not baking it into the mandatory set, then the software needs some way of discovering that this feature is present so they can use it, and that enabling that facility at runtime is possible. So something like a matrix engine will typically be done by loading the correct set of libraries to do matrix computations. So this is something that can be handled reasonably at runtime discovery. And because it has a large implementation overhead, it's likely to remain an option over time. So this is an example of an expansion option, where you're adding a large feature as an option to the system. Now, the fourth category that we've sort of realized is a transitory option. So this is a case where we're not sure about some feature, or we think it may only be around for a little while and may be dropped. One example was actually last year we had the scalar cryptography extension in the application processor profile, and that was because we had not yet defined the vector cryptography instructions. And so we added the scalar crypto as an option, as a stopgap, if you like, until the vector crypto was ready. This was okay because crypto is already, as you see, a localized option. So software already had to deal with discovering whether this was present or not at runtime. And so this enabled us to use scalar crypto as a placeholder until we had the vector crypto added later. But now that vector crypto is defined and vectors are becoming mandatory, we no longer need to support scalar crypto as an option in the system. So software can assume that if crypto is available, there will be vector crypto available. So you see the combination of these mandatory extensions plus standardizing on the options and what kind of option they are. This allows us to align all the hardware vendors, and the goal, one of the jobs of the RISC-V International is to have the different vendors agree as a community to agree on which features everybody will implement next to further improve the capabilities of RISC-V. So by aligning vendors using these profiles, this also means that as new software ecosystems are ported to RISC-V, they will find that, look, if they look across the set of cores from RISC-V, they will see that these features have indeed been implemented, and so they can rely upon them in the software ecosystem definition. And so this is the goal of profiles: align the vendors so the hardware will have common sets of features. That means the software base can then exploit those set of features. And so the investment that the hardware vendors put into implementing those features will be realized as useful benefit to the community, right? So this is how we keep everything together and keep improving RISC-V's capability over time. So the first set of profiles we ratified very early this year were RVA 20 and RVA 22. RVA 20 represents really the de facto application processor standard that we established back in 2016, actually, with the Linux distros. We told them to compile all the userland binaries with RV64GC. RVA 22 we ratified, and this captures a lot of the updates that happened since those early days, and also nailed down many features in the privileged architecture. And this was backwards compatible with RVA 20. So a machine obeying RVA 22 can run binaries compiled for RVA 20. Similarly, we're working on RVA 23. It's close to complete. And the goal here is to provide, again, backwards compatibility with RVA 22. So an RVA 22 binary should run on an RVA 23 profile machine. We've added some of the big changes, are making vectors now a mandatory feature. So software ecosystems can now rely on vectors being present, which is a powerful addition. And also vector crypto is now an option. And so that's a very important feature for high performance cryptographic handling. So just to summarize, I just wanted to bring this message of RISC-V is really entering this new territory where it's being adopted for high performance application processors. And the requirement is that machines from different vendors are going to be running standard binary distributed software. And so we have to align the community, all the vendors around these profiles. And this will ensure that the customers using RISC-V will have a good experience. They'll see their software works across different platforms from different vendors. And that's going to be key to the success of RISC-V in these new markets, the rich binary software markets. Okay, that's my message for today. Thanks for letting me talk today, and I hope you have a wonderful event.
Thank you, Christy. That was a very informative session on RISC-V instruction set and its architecture. Alexander Redkin, director at Syntacore, brings over 8 years of leadership experience in processor IP development, particularly in the RISC-V architecture. Previously a research scientist at Intel Labs for over 10 years, Redkin contributed to various computer systems and programming research initiatives. With a background in computer systems and programming, he earned his Master's of Science degree from St. Petersburg State University of Aerospace and Instrumentation. May I invite Alexander Redkin for the technical talk.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for inviting me to this event. And today I'm going to tell you about our company. First of all, Syntacore, some of the recent work we have been doing in RISC-V space, and last but not least, about some collaboration opportunities which we may have. Just a few words about our company for those who just recently joined RISC-V community. So as a company, we are a semiconductor IP company. We are a premier founding member of RISC-V Foundation, which means we've been there right from the beginning. We were established in 2015 and currently have more than 200 employees. We have international headquarters, and R&D is in Russia, St. Petersburg and Moscow. We also have some international presence. As a company, we offer state-of-the-art RISC-V CPU IP with competitive features, we believe, and last few years we've been focusing on the application class Linux-capable multi-core CPUs, which is, to me at least, the most interesting part for the current developments in RISC-V. We also offer turnkey customization services. Obviously, this is this opportunity to do domain-specific architectures and a lot of interesting customizations is what attracts a lot of customers to the ecosystem, and we have a lot of relevant expertise. To highlight some of the phases we've been at, our first client, Silicon, tipped out in 2016. We first demonstrated Linux-capable IP in the same year, and products based on our IP have been in full wafer production since 2017. This is how our current product line looks like, and as you can see, we cover majority of the range. We do have embedded class IP, various size and feature capability, and also Linux full OS capable one. Here are some of the examples of the customer projects which we have. Again, it's across the board, from tiny embedded things like ultra low power IoT devices to the more capable ones. And recently there are some data center class applications like media processors and even multi-cluster, multi-core multi-cluster systems for HPC. Overall, we have products more than 10 process nodes up to and including 5 nanometer projects. Here, one of our recent designs, which is more interesting because this is CPU which has, we believe, entry-level server class features on system architecture first of all. So I wanted to give it some airtime. So ECR9 is Linux-capable CPU which can support multi-core implementations up to 8 or even 16 cores per cluster. And we just taped out with a couple lead customers this CPU in such configurations. And these multi-core configurations can be both symmetric multiprocessor and heterogeneous in a fashion similar to Big Little by ARM with our smaller cores. It has 12-stage out-of-order pipeline, coherent NOC-based L3, and it also uses coherent interconnect, external interconnect for connectivity. Supports a variety of recent standard extensions as well as external customer accelerators, which can be coherent and can reuse the same memory subsystem for high performance offload. As I said, it's entry level, so in terms of performance, it offers reasonable 7+ core marks per megahertz per core and can be clocked above 2 gigahertz at 7 nanometers. We do run a variety of server class applications already in the lab, and part of that we provide to our customers and partners as a reference implementation together with our designs. And such examples include lab stack, which enables a lot of web class applications and includes Linux, Apache, PostgreSQL, and PHP, and other important stacks like OpenJDK, for example, which is Java execution environment. Another interesting software stack which is already available and can be deployed on RISC-V based system is hypervisors. And here is summary of other demo which we did at previous US RISC-V Summit. Basically, we demonstrated multi-core cluster which ran a couple of different operating systems hosted on KVM on ECR9. And for hostos, we demonstrated Linux-based operating system, and it hosted different guest OSs, including different Linux kernels, the ones based on different Linux kernels, and FreeBSD. So basically, if you look at the environment, you can see what considerable amount of server class application class software stacks have been ported, and they demonstrate good enough stability to be considered for deployment. If you look in more generic way, what does it mean in terms of CPU capabilities to be ready for application class workloads today? We can probably note what on the client side, contemporary device would typically exhibit features like 64 bits support, native support for 64 bits, 8 or 16 at least cores per cluster, depending on where you are in the range, mobile class device or something more capable. Your frequency should be somewhere in 2 or even 3 gigahertz range. Typically, a single cluster would be sufficient, and at least 2, more frequently 3 levels of cache. You should be able to address 8 or 16 gigabytes of memory. Should have features like system level features like TE or security support. And of course, stable, optimized rich OS should be available. Even more important, variety of applications. If you look at the other category, server data center class application, obviously requirements will go up. You probably cannot do with higher multi-core degrees. If you look around, typically, you should expect anywhere from 32 up to 128 or higher number of cores per chip, which should be, clustered, and multiple clusters should be supported per chip, which means you have to support both on-chip or die-to-die coherency. Of course, high-performance extensions like vectors or CMD, Professor Krishti just told us about, should be supported, and other enabling technologies like high-throughput accelerators support, AI, and things like that. In terms of memory, probably terabyte plus capability to address terabyte plus memory with ECC is expected, and cache hierarchy should include system-wide cache, so 3 or 4 levels is a must. Advanced virtualization features, server-grade Linux, hypervisor, and stable optimized applications which are native for that space. So if you look around, we can notice what that type of capability is being offered at least last couple of years, starting 2022, by a number of companies. To name a few, Sci5, founded by the inventors of RISC-V, Ventana Micra, we are going to hear another talk today about the recent developments. Multiple established companies like Imagination, for example, or MIPS, which used to be very active in various segments of semiconductor IP. Currently announced availability of similar type of designs. Our company provides that type of capability, and obviously there are a couple of prominent projects in India. We all know about VEGA project, and there is open source Shakti initiative. So one can notice what 10 plus companies and organizations do offer that type of capability, and it begins to pop up as in silicon, basically. And of course, not every company is, is comfortable announcing their plans beforehand. So I'm quite certain there are multiple companies in stealth mode which are working on the same type of capability. So if we will look back and summarize, we can see what, in terms of hardware capability, we do have already a majority of necessary feature to address client side of devices. In terms of software, in my opinion, we are not quite there. I would say what Linux capable systems, they are enabled enough. Linux has RISC-V support for third, I believe, generation of Linux kernel in upstream, and that obviously enabled distributions to provide good support, but other OSs like mobile OS, like Android, are not quite there, and it does need more work, but some of the recent developments and announcements give a lot of promise. So we do see a lot of focus there recently. Some of the work our company does is also focusing on that direction. In terms of server and data center, hardware is close. Multiple companies announced plans, but I think we are just sort of starting getting in that area, which makes it even more interesting and exciting. And in terms of software, in my estimation, situation is reversed, and software stacks are solid enough. And for initial deployments, one which in data center are mostly Linux-based, one can find, depending on the application, sufficient stability in software stacks. At least it's in our experience. So to summarize, we do live in interesting time than RISC-V, which appeared more than 10 years ago. Finally gets into very exciting class of application domain. And we do see multiple projects which are happening as we speak. And that happens across spectrum of applications, and designs which we are observing are both domain-specific and general purpose. Hardware approaches maturity both at client and data center side for application class devices. Software follows. Industry grade is probably in early days, but there are enough, beachheads to base current development upon. And it's frequently in-house open source software stacks enable that. A lot of hyperscalers or data center companies, they do run internal, like vertically optimized software stacks, and this is great enabler for a lot of RISC-V based early work. We definitely observe sizable investments by multiple companies in all the segments. In our clients, our company bets heavily on RISC-V, obviously. And as a company, we are part of that movement. We do offer application class IP already and ready to work with early adopters. Last but not least, I would like to give that shout out. We do look for talent who is interested to work in RISC-V space. We do have global presence with our partnership network, and looking for engineers to join our team. And if anybody is interested to work in that space, specifically on RISC-V CPU IP, customization of such IP for different domains, and SoC architectures in different aspects built around RISC-V, please do get in touch. We have some opportunities both globally and in India. We also, since we are, in research and academic environment currently, we do have a rich, extensive academic program, which we run both in Russia and with some partner universities abroad. And if you're interested to explore that part, please do get in touch, and we can connect you with our academic program people. Thanks a lot. With that, I conclude my talk, and thanks again for inviting me. It's a very interesting event.
Thank you, Mr. Redkin, for showcasing your products and especially the different variants of the RISC-V processors. And we hope we can do collaborative projects in the near future. Thank you once again. You can now view on the screens the 15 institutions that have joined us today. We thank all the faculty members, volunteers, and participants who have helped us to make this event a grand success. Thank you once again. This is Alliance University, Bangalore. Hi, everyone, and thank you for joining us. This is Amrita University, Bangalore. Thank you all for joining us today. This is BITS, Hyderabad. Hello all, and thank you for joining us. Hi, Chandigarh University, Mohali. Hope you enjoyed the sessions. Thank you for joining us. This is QSAT Cochin. Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining us. This is Guru Tej Bahadur Institute of Technology, Delhi. Hello all, and thank you for joining us. This is KIET Group of Institutions, Ghaziabad. Hi all. Thank you everyone for supporting us. This is KL University, Guntur. Hi everyone. Thank you for joining us and supporting us. This is Modi University of Science and Technology. Hello all, and thank you for joining us. And thank you for joining us. Netaji Subhash Engineering College, Kolkata, on your screens now. Hello guys, and thank you for joining us. This is PSG College of Technology, Coimbatore. Good morning, guys. Thank you for supporting us and joining us today. This is Thakur College of Engineering Technology, Mumbai. Good morning, guys. Thank you for joining and supporting us. This is Vardhaman College of Engineering, Hyderabad. Good morning to all the faculty members, volunteers, participants. Thank you for joining us and supporting us. This is VIT Chennai. Good morning, guys. Thank you for joining us and supporting us. Thanking all the faculty members, once again, all the participants, all the volunteers, once again, of all these 15 institutions who have made this program a grand success. Our next presentation is by Sri Balaji Bhatta. He's the founder and CEO of Ventana Microsystems and has over 30 years of experience as a semiconductor executive and technology entrepreneur. Prior to Ventana, he founded Veloz Technologies, acquired by Applied Micro. Mr. Balaji also served as the VP and GM of the communications business at Marvell Semiconductor and co-founded Platus, a pioneer in SCSI storage networking. His extensive career includes founding Shuttle Technologies, acquired by SCM Micro, to build digital media and storage I/O SoCs for major tech companies. He is a board member of RISC-V International and other startups, contributing to high-performance RISC-V processor landscape. We can now listen to Mr. Balaji's technical presentation.
Good day, everyone. I'm Balaji Bhatta, the founder and CEO of Ventana. Looking back, it's remarkable to see the strides we've made. Today, I'm excited to share some of the milestones we've accomplished and how we've driven forward in our journey. Ventana's story is essentially one of leadership. Leadership in the development of high-performance RISC-V CPUs and leadership in pioneering chiplet technology and its adoption across the industry. We've made a mark as the most recognized brand when it comes to high-performance RISC-V CPU cores and chiplets, a feat that is a strong testament to our hard work, commitment, and our world-class team and their continued excellence in executing to performance targets that are unforeseen in the RISC-V space before. We launched Veyron at the RISC-V Summit, setting a new benchmark for high-performance computing. This launch was not just a highlight of the show, but a key milestone in our growth trajectory, solidifying our pole position in the high-performance RISC-V space. This has given us at least 2-year head start in the high-performance space, and we have a very strong roadmap that will continue to extend our lead further to the right for the foreseeable future. In the world of chiplets, we've emerged as a trailblazer. This was affirmed when we keynoted at the inaugural Chiplet Summit, putting a spotlight on our early and innovative leadership in the chiplet technology. But at Ventana, we know that talk is cheap. Tangible results count, and that is where we stand out. For 2 consecutive years, we were selected by CRN as one of the top hot semiconductor companies to watch, rubbing shoulders with industry's behemoths like AMD, NVIDIA, Intel, Qualcomm, etc. These accolades are more than just feathers in a cap. They are evidence of the significant contributions we've made. As a founding member of RISE, we are part of the industry's concerted effort to accelerate the software readiness of RISC-V across all of the industries we are going after. Our influence extends to the board of RISC-V International, where we are on the board of directors and serve leadership roles in the technical steering committee as well as marketing committees, driving broader adoption of RISC-V across all markets, all geographies. Our products have seen tremendous customer traction in the data center, automotive, edge AI, and mobile markets. But while we are proud of our successes, we know that a thriving, innovative community benefits all of us. The market is large enough and diverse enough for many, many players to succeed, and we are committed to fostering that community spirit. As we move forward, I'd like to pass the baton to my co-founder and CTO, Greg Favor, who will provide an update on our continued contributions to the RISC-V ecosystem. But before I go, I want to express my gratitude to all of you for joining us on this journey and for your continued support of Ventana. We are excited about the future, and we hope you are too. Here's to pushing the boundaries of what's possible together. Thank you, and over to you, Greg.
Hi, I am Greg Favor, CTO of Ventana Micro. I am also chair of the RISC-V Technical Steering Committee within RISC-V International, and also chair of the Privileged Architecture ISA Committee. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit over the next few minutes about the readiness of RISC-V architecture for server and data center class applications. First, touching on RISC-V architecture today. The strength of RISC-V over the other major architectures is really stems from the power of open source and community-based development. Where it's the energy and the efforts of this broad community of hundreds of companies and thousands of people that come together to create a compelling hardware and software ecosystem. And that's what fuels this amazing year-by-year growth that RISC-V has seen, both as far as architecture itself and also the RISC-V community. Over the past several years, the original base RISC-V ISA has been filled in with a wide range of ISA extensions. The result being to make RISC-V well-suited for a wide range of designs and applications, ranging from low-end microcontrollers and IoT, all the way up to high-end servers and HPC, with in between on that spectrum, edge compute, AI and ML applications, mobile, and automotive. From a high-performance perspective, this kind of highlights some of the major target markets for RISC-V. Certainly on the data center side and cloud computing, most of the major providers are in various stages of developing and adopting plans to move to RISC-V. Similarly, in the HPC community, a lot is starting to happen as people start work towards moving to RISC-V as well. Over the past year, the automotive markets have really opened up and become a big opportunity for RISC-V that many companies in the automotive space have been making strategic decisions and now plans to start moving to RISC-V for their next generation developments, especially in the areas of ADAS and IVI. Certainly edge compute, generative AI, 5G Open RAN is another major area for RISC-V as well. And then lastly, another major area is on the client side. Most notably over the past year, Google publicly came out announcing full support for Android on RISC-V. And basically they've gotten fully behind it. And there's companies in the mobile space all working towards developing RISC-V based smartphones and other types of mobile and client devices. Now looking forward, over the coming year, there's yet more architecture extensions that are in the works to make RISC-V an even better ISA. And I just mentioned a few examples here. Certainly in the area of AI and ML, there are actually two initiatives starting to develop facilities within the ISA to do, if you will, matrix multiply types of operations, or more generally, tensor compute operations, which is really at the heart of AI and ML. There's also going to be a variety of new instructions coming to the architecture to further increase performance and to reduce dynamic and static code size. Another major area, it's a major initiative, not only within the industry at large, but also within RISC-V, is support for confidential computing. Another area on the security side, among many security initiatives happening within RISC-V, is one to tackle post-quantum cryptography standards for RISC-V. Certainly, as you get into a lot of these, higher performance server class types of applications, things like RAS, among other things, is also important, and that's another thing coming along this year as well. The TSC, or Technical Steering Committee, is currently developing its architectural priorities for the coming year to make sure RISC-V International and all its efforts are focused on addressing the key markets I described a couple of slides, last slide, to make sure that they are fully addressed to make RISC-V the best architecture for those markets. Development of ISO profiles continues, and there will be a growing set of profiles over time for various broad application areas. And also, what has started recently is development of RISC-V platform standards. There's an initial platform standard that has started, and there'll be more to follow, that are focused on various market segments to basically develop complete system-level standards of not only the ISA, but SoC hardware, firmware, and software components. And that is it for today. Next is, I'm going to hand off to Kumar to talk about the RISC-V software ecosystem and also about the new RISE organization within that. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Kumar Shankaran, and I'm the Vice President of Software and Platform Engineering at Ventana Microsystems. In addition, I am also the co-chair of RISE, which is the RISC-V Software Ecosystem Consortium, and we'll be talking about RISE shortly in this presentation. Today in this presentation, we'll talk about the RISC-V software ecosystem and also about RISE. So starting with the RISC-V software ecosystem itself, the overall RVI community has over 3,900 members and located in over 70 plus countries today. There are 29 founding members. And the beauty of this ecosystem is the customers and community is driving the RISC-V software ecosystem. And majority of applications in several target market segments are available in Linux today. So here you can kind of see a picture of the layout of all the members that are part of RVI today. So let's deep dive into a little bit more in terms of software. This slide here shows the overall broader software ecosystem for RISC-V. And we've considered just some of these applications that are available. So all of these things that you see here are available in open source for RISC-V. And so starting from the bottom up here, so with the platform, there is QEMU, there is Spike, there is also the Ventana Veyron actual chip that we announced last week. And moving up to the next level, there is a firmware. There's OpenSBI, which is an open source supervisory binary interface. That's a firmware that runs first after power on. There is U-boot, core boot as BIOS, and also Tiano Core UEFI, which is used for servers. Moving to the hypervisor level, there's KVM and Xvisor available in open source. And we from Ventana maintain KVM actively within the open source community for RISC-V. Moving to the operating system layer, several flavors of OS flavors available today, starting with Linux on the left side. There is Yocto project, Ubuntu, Fedora, Debian, OpenSUSE. They're all available from their respective distros and supported by them. And then on the embedded side, there is FreeBSD, NetBSD as well. And Android is available as well. You guys would have seen the announcements from Google, where Google is now having Android as a first-class citizen for RISC-V with ARM64. And Chromium is available as well. Moving to the next level, which is middleware, it consists of frameworks and libraries. Docker, Kubernetes are available. SPDK, DPDK. SPDK stands for Storage Performance Development Kit. DPDK stands for Data Path Development Kit. These are available for RISC-V. OpenJDK, which is the Java runtime engine is available for RISC-V as well. TensorFlow, OpenSSL, libvirt available in upstream as well. Moving to the top level applications, storage, networking, web tier, databases, security, control plane. Many of these applications are available today as well. And on the right side, tools. So this is an important aspect of the overall ecosystem. So we from Ventana, we are primarily promoting GCC and LLVM as the compilers, and we actively maintain them in open source, working with the upstream communities. And then there's Go, there is Python runtime, and Rust runtime as well. Those are available. And then debuggers like GDB, Trace32 from Lauterbach, and OpenOCD. So these are debuggers that are available. So if you look at the sites that are listed up there, risc5.org/exchange and the landscape.risc5.org. So these are two sites that give a full picture of where the ecosystem stands at this point in time. And then lastly, as I mentioned at the bottom, we are a founding member of the RISC-V software ecosystem, RISE, and we'll talk about that in just a few minutes. So moving to some of the data center software stacks that we have developed within Ventana. So this is all available and running live today, and this is running on Debian and Ubuntu. These applications that you see here are completely open source. They're built from open source components out of Debian and Ubuntu. They're all running on the QEMU platform, compiled with the GCC compiler, and then running on a Tiano Core-based UEFI as a BIOS, using OpenSBI as a firmware layer. And then starting from the left side, I'll quickly walk through these. So storage, we showing Ceph and NVMe OF that is accelerated using SPDK. And on the networking side, we're showing OVS accelerated with DBDK. Nginx as a load balancer. On the virtualization, we are launching multiple Linux VMs over KVM and Xvisor as hypervisors. Security side, we are showing OpenSSL and applications like SSH running on OpenSSL. On the web tier, typical LAMP applications like Linux, Apache, MySQL, PHP. So we're showing an Apache web server running using WordPress, and MediaWiki using a caching engine like Memcached running with a backend database of MySQL. Search side, we are showing Apache Solr which uses Java, and that is implemented using OpenJDK. And lastly, Redis is a powerful in-memory database. It's a key value lookup engine. It's deployed across multiple databases across the whole world. And that's an in-memory database application. We have that running as well. So these are some of the data center software stacks that are available out of the box today. So this is just a small listing of all the applications available in the ecosystem, but shows you the overall picture of how things are in terms of availability and completeness of software for the RISC-V ecosystem. Moving to RISE. So what is RISE? So RISE stands for RISC-V Software Ecosystem. So this was an update that we had done last week at the RISC-V Summit event here in the US. So RISC-V, what are the objectives of RISE? So our goal is to raise the quality of RISC-V platform implementation to match other architectures like x86, ARM64 and such, and make RISC-V a tier 1 platform for all tools and libraries. The goal is also to push the RISC-V software ecosystem forward and align all the partner efforts. So there's multiple efforts going on from different partners. Our goal would be to align all of them and then overall accelerate the adoption of RISC-V in multiple market segments. Again, we work completely transparently and work with upstream communities. We coordinate the contributions and build bridges with existing communities upstream. And the potential projects that are tackled by RISE can be submitted by anyone. So anyone in the community can submit projects that would belong to RISE from the software side. And the project decisions and the priority is primarily driven by RISE members. So that's the goal of overall RISE. And we have a wiki site, so wiki.riseproject.dev. So this has all the information that you would need. There is also our main website is at riseproject.dev. That will give you all the information that you see here, in addition to the members themselves. Moving to RISE members, so here are the founding members. There are 13 founding members, and Ventana was one of the initial founding members of RISE. Google, Intel, Qualcomm, MediaTek, Andes, T-Head, Red Hat, Revos, Sci-Fi, Ventana, Samsung, NVIDIA, Imagination. So these are all the founding members, and we are all part of the board of RISE. And then we have some new general members as well, like Microchip, Canonical, ISCAS, Akiana, BOSC, AMD. So these are some of the members that joined recently. And as I mentioned before, most of this information is available at riceproject.dev. Moving to the governance, so we have a governing board, as I mentioned before, and we have a technical steering committee, we have program management and marketing. Amber Huffman is the chair of the governing board. Barna Ibrahim from Revos she's the vice chair, and Larry Wickelius from Qualcomm, he is the treasurer of the board. And then on the technical steering committee, we have a bunch of 3 joint co-chairs. So I'm one of the co-chairs of the technical steering committee. Nathan Agay from Google and Andrew from Revos are the other joint co-chairs. And we drive the technical steering committee in terms of the direction, the projects, what gets done, the priority and such. The program management side, this is governed by Linux Foundation, and Michelle and Evan are part of Linux Foundation. They run program management for RISE. And then on the marketing side, we have Jeffro from Red Hat and Melissa, who run all the marketing activities for RISE. Now, in terms of what the TSC does and what the working groups are in the work itself, so there are 9 streams or 9 swim lanes, you can call them that. So they're divided equally amongst the 3 co-chairs. So the 3 of us, we jointly divide these 9 streams. So I head up platforms. So within platforms, there is Linux kernel and virtualization. That the work group lead for that is Anup Patel. System firmware, the work group lead is Sunil, and simulators, emulators, the work group lead is Daniel Barbosa. On the developer tool side, there's compilers and tool chains. Jeff Law is the work group lead for that. Linux distro is being led by Brian Harrington from Red Hat. Debug and profiling is led by Fei Wu from Intel. And the third tier is libraries and middleware, and that's being headed by Nathan Agay from Google. And that has language runtimes. That's the lead for that is Ludovic Henry. System libraries, Nathan himself. And dev infrastructure is by Paul Walmsley from Sci-Fi. So these are the 9 tracks that are going on in parallel. And then all the work streams, the work activities, everything is there in the wiki page. So if you get a chance, you can go to wiki.riceproject.dev and you'll see all the ongoing projects that are going on and also the projects that are planned for the first half and second half of 2024. That kind of brings us to the roadmap of 2024. So here, this is just a brief listing of what the projects that are planned for the first half and second half of 2024 are. So in terms of, there is an RFP project where we fund external contractors to come in and work on behalf of RISE. So there are the projects that are currently being done are libJPEG Turbo, Go Runtime, and Multimedia over the course of 2024. On the dev infrastructure side, we will be planning a cloud expansion and then also a board farm turn up in the first half and second half of 2024. Platform side, on the Linux kernel side, work is going on the ACPI front, IOMMU and vector support, and we'll be bringing in next-step virtualization and also the SBI extension support within 2.0 and 3.0. We'll bring that into the Linux kernel. On the EDK2 side, which is firmware, there's Clang support and TFM, which is trusted firmware for M mode, and RAS features will be tackled in the first half of 2024. And then on QEMU, we plan on bringing an IOPMP, one of the major features. DevTools, primarily working on auto vectorization for GCC and LLVM this year, going into next year. Better atomics, stack clash mitigation. On the distro side, we will be jointly having Fedora, Ubuntu, and Debian work together to come up with a unified set of features that we have for the distros. And then Valgrind and address sanitizer as activities there as well. Libraries middleware will be coming up with a RISC-V optimization guide shortly, and that will be available in the first half of 2024. And some of the other packages that we'll be working on will be libflag, boarding SSL, and XN Impact. So this is some of the projects that are being done in the first half of and second half of 2024 in terms of a high-level roadmap. So to conclude, just join us. So RISC membership or RISE membership requires Linux Foundation Europe membership, LF Europe. And it also needs a RISC-V international membership. So we are excited for your team to join this journey. There's more information at riceproject.dev. For any other information, feel free to send us email at info@riceproject.dev. So that is all I had.
Thank you, Sri Balaji, the founder and CEO of Ventana Microsystems. Mr. Greg Favor, co-founder and CTO of Ventana Microsystems. Mr. Kumar Shankaran, VP of Software and Platforms Engineering at Ventana Microsystems. Thank you for accepting our invitation and making this presentation in spite of your busy schedules. Shri Krishna Kumar Rao, Senior Director and Head of the Hardware Design Group at C-DAC Thiruvananthapuram, has been a driving force in indigenous technology development, contributing to groundbreaking projects such as India's first digital energy meter ASIC, Urja, and the design of the first hearing aid ASIC, Nada. He now works on development of indigenous microprocessors. I invite Shri Krishna Kumar Rao to give an overview on DIR-V VEGA processors and its ecosystem.
A very good morning to all. So today I'll be focusing on the VEGA series of processors developed under the Digital India RISC-V program. So this is a brief agenda of my presentation today. So I will start with an introduction to C-DAC, a couple of slides on the Digital India RISC-V program, then the VEGA series of processors, the SoCs were built based on the VEGA processor, then the ARIES development boards based on VEGA, the board programming, the SoC, the development board, what is the scheme for procuring these boards, SoCs, and the support infrastructure we have for the user community. So, as you may be aware, C-DAC is a premier R&D organization of the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. We carry out application-oriented R&D in IT and electronics and associated areas. So our presence is at 12 locations across India. We have presence starting from Mohali in the north, Delhi, then in the northeast we have Silchar, we have Calcutta, then we coming to the center of India, we have in Pune, in Mumbai, and down south we have in Bangalore, Chennai, and Thiruvananthapuram. So the DIR-V program is one of the projects or programs which is driven from C-DAC. So C-DAC in fact works in a multitude of areas covering the entire span of electronics and IT spectrum, starting with the high performance grid and cloud computing. So there we have build the Param series of computers where we continue to innovate and build new supercomputers as part of the National Supercomputing Mission. Coming to strategic electronics domain, we work in the area of defense, space, as well as industrial electronics. We have built products for the defense, such as the gunshot detection system, ultrasonic burn rate measurement system for the tiles used in the launch vehicles by ISRO. So similarly, you go to power electronics, which all fall under the strategic electronics domain. We have developed vehicle control unit for the electric locomotives for the Indian Railways, which is extensively used in over more than 600 to 700 locomotives of the Indian Railways. We are into the development of indigenous electric chargers. And we move on to communication technologies. We have products like the Tetra mobile radio, cognitive radio, and we further move on to the transportation sector. We have traffic management systems, which are built and deployed in cities across India. So these are the broad spectrum of areas we cover under strategic electronics domain. Similarly, we have strong presence in the cybersecurity and forensics domain also, where we support all the lead agencies, the police, CBI, IB, all these agencies we support by developing indigenous products for disk forensics, network management systems, security operations center. All this is covered under this domain. Now coming to the next vertical, if you see in the software technologies, we are implementing the nationwide emergency response support system. The 112 number is equivalent to the 911 in the US, which is now across installed or which is deployed across the country in all the states and union territories. Similarly, we have e-governance solutions, cloud software solutions, and we move on to health. We have developed hospital management solutions which are deployed across the country. We have mobile telemedicine applications. We have cervical cancer screening solutions. Similarly, we are now into the new areas of quantum computing, which is C-DAC is now started working on. And we have extensive exposure and experience in the multi-language computing and heritage computing also. And similarly, in education and training also, we have significant presence through the ACTS program of C-DAC. We run NTech programs, which are really accepted by the industry, as well as multitude of short-term courses. So this gives this here. I want to just give a brief on what C-DAC does before we focus on the DIR-V program. So similarly, the gamut of products have been developed by C-DAC, which have been transferred to the industry, technology transferred and deployed across the length and breadth of the country. So it is captured here in a screen, in a snapshot. So VEGA processor is just one of them. We have smart energy meters. We have the eNose. We have the Sanjeevani application. We have indigenous museum software. We have the, as I mentioned earlier, we have at the training, we have the ACTS, Advanced Computing Training School. Then we have the Y-Track traffic controller. So we have a host of a series of projects and products which are successfully deployed in multitude of industries. So now we'll come to the main agenda of our event today, which is the Digital India RISC-V program. So the Digital India RISC-V program was conceptualized and launched by our Honorable MOS, Sri Rajiv Chandrasekhar ji. So he has been driving this program, and we are getting ample support and guidance from the team at MeitY, Sunita Madam, who is the group coordinator, and Nishit Gupta, who is a senior scientist and director of the India Semiconductor Mission also. And of course, the Digital India RISC-V program, specifically in the technical aspects, and I'm running the program. Our guide and mentor for the program is Professor Kamakoti, who is the director of IIT Madras and chief architect of the DIR-V program, who has been the pioneer in developing the Shakti series of processors. And I want to also acknowledge, before I go into details of our activities, our C-DAC management, our Director General, our Director, all have been pillars of support for driving the RISC-V program, as part of which we could make some small steps by contributing and building the VEGA series of processors, which we have now siliconized, and we have developed development boards also, which I'll be covering in my coming slides. So the DIR-V program is a significant move in line with the Atmanirbhar vision of our Honorable Prime Minister Modi ji, with the primary goal to facilitate the development of indigenous processors, which will not only cater to the application in India, as well as for the global requirements going forward, where the aim is to achieve high quality silicon products through successful design wins. So this initiative, we are confident that will transform India into a global hub for RISC-V talent and a leading provider of SoCs for mobile, server, automotive systems and IoT systems, not only for India, but for the world. So as part of the DIR-V program, we at C-DAC have developed a series of microprocessors under the brand name VEGA. So these are high-performance microprocessors, which are all based on the open source RISC-V instruction set architecture. So our mission is to make India self-reliant in the microprocessor development using indigenous design, technologies and components, and build the competencies in the requisite hardware, software, with special emphasis on the strategic sector. So as part of the program, a series of single, dual, and multi-core processors have been developed. So like in the earlier presentations, you would have heard Professor Kamakodi saying it's not just the processor which is required for building a system. You need to have silicon, where today you see a processor which gets integrated into a system on chip, integrating a host of other peripheral IPs, and then you go on to the system level. So to facilitate that, as part of the DIR-V program, we have developed a series of reusable IP cores also, which range from small IPs like the commonly used IPs like the SPI, SPI, and I2C, UART, and then you move on to more slightly complex ones like the USB, Ethernet, Gigabit Ethernet MAC, the SDRAM controller, and so on. So these IPs, along with the processor portfolio, helps us to build solutions, integrate and build solutions catering to the requirement of the industry. So as part of the program, we also set up a resource center for microprocessor and IP core development, wherein we are now engaging and supporting various startups and academia in achieving their goals. And another important aspect which is covered as part of the program is the development of the ecosystem, without which the program won't succeed, where you need to have the development boards, the board support packages, drivers, and the IDEs for the SOCs and processors we're building. So all that is in place now. And finally, this will culminate in the fabrication of a series of SOCs catering to a range of requirements, which will be integrated into products and solutions. So this covers the 5 processors which have been developed under the DIR-V program, starting from a 32-bit 3-stage in-order single-core processor to a 64-bit 6-stage in-order processor to a multi-core processor, where we have a 64-bit 16-stage out-of-order single, dual, and quad-core solutions. So coming to the ecosystem for VEGA is in place, where we support Arduino IDE. We have an Eclipse-based IDE. The operating system supported are multitude. We have FreeRTOS, Linux, Zephyr, Fedora, and Debian. So the Linux device drivers for the various peripherals, the board support packages is available. We have more than 90 plus libraries for various IoT applications. So we use the open source compiler toolchain, and extensive documentation, discussion, fora, and tutorial videos are also available, which help for ease of adoption of the DIR-V processors. So Tejas 32 is the first fully indigenous SoC ASIC developed as part of the DIR-V program under the VEGA series of processors. So it's a 100 megahertz SoC which has been fabricated in Siltra 130 nanometer process, which integrates the 32-bit in-order processor from the VEGA portfolio and integrates other peripherals and memory like the UART, SPI, timer, I2C, PWM, and GPIO. So the uniqueness of this is, I would like to stress, is that the full design is indigenous. Like our chief architect, Professor Kama, was mentioning, this is a typical example where on the DIR-V, the entire design from the spec to the RTL to the verification, followed by the physical design of the chip is all fully done indigenously internal in India, and the fabrication has been done in the Malaysian foundry. And as I mentioned, it's not just silicon we need boards, and we need board support packages and applications which can be demonstrated on these on the DIR-V VEGA processors. So we have developed a series of boards called ARIES, under which currently we have 5 flavors. We have the ARIES V2, then we have the ARIES V3, ARIES Micro, ARIES IoT, and ARIES Dot, which come in various form factors which cater to different requirements. So first one is the ARIES Micro Development Board, which is again based on the Tejas 32 processor, SoC, which has RAM, a 2 MB flash, UART, SPI, timer. It has got an ADC, 4-channel ADC support, GPIO, and is clocked at 100 MHz. The next board we have in the ARIES portfolio is the ARIES V2, which are similar featured in a different form factor. So if you see the previous one, ARIES Micro, I would say is more apt for development applications where you have some sensors, some actuators with you, and you want to breadboard or wire up that, you can use an ARIES Micro. ARIES V2 would be typically used wherein you have an application in mind where you want to buy some standard shields from the market, like the Arduino shields you get. You want to plug that in, then this will be the apt one. You can plug those shields into it, straight away use the Arduino IDE, use the tutorial programs as a starting point, and start building your applications. And ARIES V3 is the next development platform in this series. And this development board we have developed compatible to Arduino in terms of form factor and the connectivity, the connectors, everything is similar to an Arduino. Performance-wise, it's better because it's 32-bit and runs at 100 MHz. So here, the advantage is somebody who is comfortable with the Arduino development boards, Uno development boards, can straight away migrate to this platform using the Arduino IDE, download the Arduino IDE, have this board with you, get the necessary sensors, actuators, LED modules, or your ultrasound module, whatever sensor you want to get, you buy from the open market, which is all compatible to Arduino you get, and then that can be straight away plugged into this. And the applications are also available, which will help you to build your specific application in quick time. And this one is the IoT development board, which is more focused for Internet of Things applications, because it integrates, other than the processor and the SoC and the peripherals written here, it also integrates sensors like a Bluetooth sensor, a Wi-Fi sensor, or a Wi-Fi connectivity. It supports Bluetooth connectivity, Wi-Fi connectivity. It has got a gesture sensor, ambient light sensor. So a lot of sensors are already integrated onto the board, which basically enables an individual or a startup who is going to focus on building IoT applications. So a typical application of this will be, you want to measure the temperature. There's a temperature sensor on the board. You can measure the temperature and through the Wi-Fi, push it onto the cloud, where you may be having a cloud application running. So this could be a typical application where somebody wants to demonstrate or use as a starting point. So this, the latest board we have built under the DIR-V program, which we call ARIES Dot, which is more focused on wearable applications. It comes in a circular form factor, as you can see. So this basically shows the interfaces in detail available for the ARIES V3 development board. As you can see, it has got UART, SPI, I2C, timer, GPIO, PWM, ADC, all that is available for you to build your application. So what are the applications you can build? So as I mentioned, you can use these boards for industrial networking, for motor drives, for building toys, for electronic education devices, for sensor fusion. So in fact, we in C-DAC have built a POC of a smart meter using this Tejas 32 SoC, using the ARIES V3 development board itself. We have demonstrated a smart meter. So these are just one of the or a few of the applications you can build using these processors. So it's left to the imagination and the requirement of the user to build the application he needs. So for programming, we support the popular Arduino IDE platform, which is popular among the student and other tech enthusiasts. So this enables you to have a user-friendly approach, and we utilize the familiar Arduino code and IDE to facilitate ease of application development. So this is supported on Windows and Ubuntu platform currently. So we have a sales channel also available in the VEGA Processor itself website, from where you can procure these boards, or not just the boards, the silicon also, wherein we see now interest in the industry from the startups as well as other industry whom we have already started collaborating, where a typical scenario would be initially they'll be using an ARIES V3 or an ARIES micro board to first try out their application. Once they have done that, we have few companies with whom we are working who have now started designing their own PCBs, integrating the Tejas 32, where they will be having the custom board which will be developed, tested, and then deployed. And I also like to add that the silicon as well as the boards are available on the robo.in website also. And the support channels are also available. You can always visit the VEGA Processor website. We have a email support, vega@cdac.in. We have telephonic support also. You can call on the mobile number and you can buy a board and start working on it, and you can have telephonic support also. And we are on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, and Instagram. I would encourage all the participants and viewers to follow our social media and other channels. And before I conclude, I would like to inform that a Vegathon a hackathon is planned in 2024 February, where we are associating with the Rajagiri School of Engineering and Technology in Cochin for conducting the Vegathon. So this is primarily for the student community and for the tech enthusiasts. There are some prizes to be won also. So you can mark your calendar, and we will encourage you to join this hackathon also and support us in building and taking forward this indigenous technology development activity which we are doing. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir, for giving an overview of the different VEGA processor platforms, development platforms. I'm sure it has inspired the young engineers to start developing their own projects. Ms. Neeta Maria Salim, Joint Director C-DAC, is at the forefront of designing cost-effective VEGA SoC-based development boards and spearheading the adoption of VEGA processors and systems nationwide. I invite Ms. Neeta to propose the vote of thanks.
A very warm good afternoon to one and all. I'm truly honored and privileged to propose the vote of thanks on this August occasion, representing the DIR-V family. On behalf of the entire DIR-V team, I extend our deepest gratitude to everyone involved. I would like to express a profound gratitude to Shri Rajiv Chandrasekhar, Honorable Minister of State for Skill Development and Entrepreneurship and Electronics and Information Technology of India, for his leadership in spearheading the DIR-V initiative and accepting our invitation to deliver the inaugural address for the nationwide roadshow on Digital India RISC-V VEGA processors. We are very grateful to Professor V. Kamakodi, Director, IIT Madras, and Chief Architect of the DIR-V program, for having shared his invaluable insights into India's DIR-V program during this event. We are very fortunate to have with us Ms. Sunita Verma, Scientist G and Group Coordinator at MeitY, Government of India, who shared the remarkable journey of DIR-V. Ma'am, we wish to thank you for your long-standing support. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to Dr. Debabrata Das, Director of IIIT Bangalore and Chair of IEEE India Council, for extending all necessary support in jointly organizing the event and offering his felicitations. I would like to place on record our sincere gratitude to our Director General, Sri Magesh E., for his unwavering support in all our endeavors. He serves as the driving force behind our collective efforts and initiatives. Dr. John Jose, Distinguished Professor at IIT Guwahati and Vice Chair of IEEE India Council, has provided invaluable guidance and support throughout the organization of this event. He consistently champions indigenous development activities, embodying a commitment to progress and innovation. I would like to extend our deep gratitude to Dr. Jose for offering his felicitations. We are extremely grateful to all our eminent technical speakers for sharing their insights and enriching the event. Ms. Callista Redmond, CEO of RISC-V International, for her special address on RISC-V and on why it is inevitable. Professor Kriste Asanovic, Chief Architect at Sci-Fi, who talked about the various RISC-V ISA. Mr. Alexander Redkin, Director at Syndaco, for throwing some insights into various RISC-V processor cores and their applications at Syndaco. Mr. Balaji Bhakta, Founder and CEO at Ventana Microsystems. Mr. Greg Favor, CTO at Ventana Microsystems. Kumar Shankaran, VP of Ventana Microsystems, for sharing your experience and thoughts on RISC-V. Thank you once again, distinguished speakers, for sharing your experiences and insights on RISC-V. I would like to express our sincere thanks to Sri S. Krishnakumar Rao, Senior Director at C-DAC and Program Manager of the DIR-V program, for his continuous support and encouragement. A big thank you to all the 15 participating institutions, regional coordinators, and volunteers from across India, whose support and cooperation made this event a pan-India event. I wish to express my deep gratitude to all the participants and technical enthusiasts who joined us today. Your presence has been invaluable. I would also like to acknowledge and appreciate all my colleagues from C-DAC for their overwhelming participation, cooperation, and support in organizing this event. Once again, thank you everyone for making this event memorable. Thank you.
Thank you, Neeta. And with this, we come to the end of the inaugural session of the nationwide roadshow on Digital India RISC-V VEGA processors. A very special thanks once again to all the regional coordinators and volunteers and C-DAC resource persons. And we were also fortunate to have Dr. Joan Jose for mentoring us and help us organize the event. Thank you, sir, once again. And I thank all who have joined us today for your participation.
Hello, we are Team Ingenuity and I'll be demonstrating and explaining our Vegathon project entry titled Raptor, robust articulated platform for terrain observation and rescue. Raptor features individually articulating segments driven by metal gauge servo motor providing enhanced maneuverability and adaptability. With this modular design, segments can be customized enabling multifunctional capabilities and tailored solutions. Each segment can be precisely controlled by X and Y directions, enabling complex movement and agile navigation. Raptor servo motors are controlled by the advanced VEGA ARIES processors PWM pins, which ensures accurate and synchronized segment articulation. Additional peripheral modules can be attached to the robot's head, expanding its capabilities and sensor suite. Now, we will demonstrate the test code which articulates individual segment of the Raptor robot.
Test code runs through each of the individual segments to check for functionality.
Hello.